Good morning. Today, January 13th, we will going to start, unno school. Yes. Yes?
Yes. Good morning, unno-san.
Okay, good morning, you said. Okay, January 13th, today, we're going to, start, second day of Indonesia. So today I'll get into the Indonesian history. Let me try to read, several sentences. Europeans such as the Portuguese arrived in Indonesia from the 16th century seeking to monopolize the sources of valuable nutmeg, cloves, and cobweb pepper in Maluku. In 1602, the Dutch established the Dutch East India Company, VOC, and became the dominant European power by 1610. Following bankruptcy, the VOC was formally dissolved in 1800, and the government of the Netherlands established the Dutch East Indies and the government control. I think, Kimoto, are you familiar with it, right?
Yeah, not familiar. Not familiar. Currently not familiar.
You studied a lot, right? But early 20th, by the early 20th century, Dutch dominance extended to the current boundaries. The Japanese invasion and subsequent occupation in 1942-1945 during World War II ended Dutch rule and encouraged the previously supported Indonesian independence movement. 2 days after the surrender of Japan in August 1945, nationalist leader Sukarno declared independence and became president. The Netherlands tried to re-establish its rule, but a bitter armed and diplomatic struggle ended in December 1949, when in the face of international pressure, the Dutch formally recognized Indonesian independence. An attempt coup in 1965 led to a violent army-led anti-communist purge in which over half a million people were killed. General Suharto politically outmaneuvered President Sukarno and became president in March 1968. His New Order administration garnered the favor of the West. Food investment in Indonesia was a major factor in the subsequent 3 decades of substantial economic growth. In the late 1990s, however, Indonesia was the country hardest hit by the East Asian financial crisis, which led to popular protests and Suharto's resignation on 21st May 1998. The reformacy era following Suharto's resignation has led to a strengthening the democratic processes, including a regional autonomy program, the secession of East Timor, and the first direct presidential election in 2004. Political and economic instability, social unrest, corruption, natural disasters, and terrorism have slowed progress. Although nations among different religious and ethnic groups are largely harmonious, acute sectarian discontent and violence remain problems in some areas. Then I'm going to show you the YouTube. This is just one sentence of Indonesia and hidden history of Indonesia. Okay, this one is スカルノからスハルト政権に移行期のビデオで共産党占領を根絶した。これは長いビデオでインドネシアの歴史を説明している。で、このクーデターっていうのはスカルノからスハルト、CIA が背後にサポートしている。これスカルノが共産党を支持したっていう背景があるんですよね、この当時。それで現在もこうしたことが起こり得ることを我々学習するべき。2016年に起こったトルコのクーデターと比較するのもいいかもしれない。で、単語をちょっと見てみます。 the meeting, court. 意味が違うですよ。court。これ、裁判所に誘う court。covert。covert。covert な covert。blunder。embolden。imprison。humanizer。potent。showdown。Machiavellian. Incapacitate. What the heck is that? Heck, what the heck is that? Mutilate. 体バラバラにする。mutilate. Gouging. Aborting. Purporting. Bestiality. これ知らないね。bestiality. Depravity. これもあんまり使わない。whip up. watch. defy. manipulated. steer. confer.
Also, I have a question.
はい。
Deporting is a popular word in the Western world, isn't it?
Which one? Depravity?
No. Excuse me, down.
Down.
なんか、嘘でも主張するというのがありましたね。
Purporting.
Purporting. Purporting is a popular keyword?
Not usually we don't use it, purporting.
Okay.
Sometimes you can use it, purporting, but not so often.
Okay, thank you.
Steer. Confer. Blindfold. Tenuous. On the run. Indication. Plead. Meeky. これもたまに使うけど、meeky. Slang. しょっちゅう出る。wrath. しょっちゅう出る。Invincible. これもしょっちゅう出る。wholesale. しょっちゅう出る。death squad. まあ、時々ね、death squad. communal. これも時々。butcher. しょっちゅう出るね。castrate. これはあんまり使わない。rest. green. pedal. idiotic. condemnation. 長いね。bog down. invoke. rally. rally は集まるですからね、rally。集会する。forensic。これしょっちゅう出ますね。forensic。pathologist。これも結構出ますね。pathologist。lurid。残念な。lurid。orgy。まあ、あんまり使わない。perpetuate。これもよく出ますね。perpetuate。acquittal。これはたまに出るね。acquittal。Okay, this is a long video, so you can have a look. Okay, just...
Unno-san, I have an opinion. Unno-san's pronunciation is have a great progress.
Improve, huh?
Yes.
Every day after night, I try to study English pronunciation. But let me try to, okay, just a moment.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to show you. Okay, this one is the best one. This one is, you can study this one. Okay.
Very.
This one.
Above. Above.
This one is the best one. English pronunciation.
Live.
Every night, okay,
Live.
after 9 or 10 o'clock, I try to study
Believe.
watching this video. But within 5 minutes,
Believe.
I very,
Every.
get sleepy. this, but this one is the best one. Especially like you can see
Private.
this one. This one.
Private.
Okay, mouth.
7.
Okay. And the second one is I'm studying this one. Okay, just this one. This is my second one. This one is my second video I'm watching.
This is a short vowel sound. It's pronounced eh. Now you try. Listen again and repeat after me. Eh. Eh. Now here are some words which have this sound. Dress, head, bed, many. Now you try. Listen again. And
Why I'm
repeat
showing this one?
after
Because
me.
just only formal one
Dress,
is getting bored, so I try to
Head.
have a look another this one. And also I'm going to introduce you this one. This one is reading sentences, but this is VOA, Voice of America.
This is the VOA Special English Economics
but you can
Report.
have a look.
Today,
Hamas.
we look back at some of the top stories of 2011. In Europe, the debt crisis that started in 2010 in Greece.
Her point is mouth, okay, mouth. Especially she opened her mouth, so this is very good for your pronunciation. Because since last year, 6 months ago, I asked you to study pronunciation. Very important. If you speak English every day, but English pronunciation never improve, you need to try an effort to pronounce correctly. Why? Because in studying pronunciation more harder, I'm going to start news video from this April. unno News Network organization, unno. This is against for the CNTV, Al Jazeera, BBC, and CNN, and one more, French 24. Any other? All over the world, they have overseas news video. They just speaking out their opinion. But we have NHK overseas broadcast, but they don't speak out any opinion. They just translate Japanese domestic news. It's terrible. And also they make contract Al Jazeera and the other BBC and so forth, but useless, right? So I decided to speak a Japanese opinion to the world, the rest of the world. So we're going to say something. For example, first major issues like Takashi last week told me Fujitsu just developed some agriculture new technology in Vietnam, right? Takashi. Okay, that kind of video is just I looking for that. Just only the provided by Vietnamese. But this is that kind should be translated in English, spread all over the world, especially for the Asia, and not only Asia but Middle East and Africa. So many people that are interested in the kind of technology try to adopt to those countries, especially Africa. They are very keen to develop agriculture business now. So, and the other thing is, I told you before, South Sudan. South Sudan, defense force stayed there 5 years, but nobody knows they stayed in Africa, Japanese defense force. So we need to advertise Japanese activity, what we're doing now, right? And sort of thing. Also, defense ministry, they stayed on only 7 hours. Oh, Sana Beach, just also we need to more change our Japanese attitude toward America, toward the global level. So sort of things I'm trying to intend to do that. Like last week I told that Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi, Japanese news broadcast, they don't tell the secret story, but I can tell them what we're thinking about. Also the same Trump and Putin and Merkel and all over the world. So what Japanese people thinking about? Not actually I'm thinking about, but nobody knows. Especially the European people, still they believe Japanese are yellow monkey because they never speak out any opinion. Also, I just invite Sonoda like next week. He'll go and join with us, make a presentation for Japanese Confucius history, and Japanese people, they don't know that how to speak in English of Japanese spirits of Japan. And she translated they make a lot of effort to translate in Japan. So we're going to use his material to spread what Japanese knowledge, Japanese spirit to the world. And also, as you know, I'm planning to write a Japanese book next year, or this year, later part of this year. Still, this democracy to continue next 4 or 5 months. Then after that, I'm writing the Japanese identity for a couple books. And this Japanese identity is we're going to introduce, spread all over the world what we are. Okay, like your company try to explain you yourself, but your local people, they do not know who Japanese are. Even if you are going to communicate with those people, they don't know that. So this is my intention, right? This is special English, is Voice of America. They have 5 series of she reading a book or reading a sentence, whatever. And like this, very good. Just
and Ireland spread to other countries. Portugal needed a financial rescue, and Italy needed a new prime minister. Silvio.
So why I'm showing this video? This is currently Japanese people very difficult to understand without narrative on the screen. So in future, for our unno school student, we try to eliminate narratives. You should understand what she's talking. So beforehand, you can study for watching her mouth and the pronunciation. And beforehand, okay, you try to study pronunciation. You can understand what she's speaking out. I don't know why, but just depending on the like F or V or L or R or whatever. So just kind of exercise, you can understand what is her pronunciation, right? Okay, this is my recent exercise. Okay, this one 3 of those, right? And also you try to do another. My recommendation is like this. Today's or not this one. Today is okay. Just today I've read this one, but also I recorded the same sentence. Just listen, the same one. Indonesian history. Europeans such as the Portuguese arrived in Indonesia from the 16th century, seeking to monopolize the sources of valuable nutmeg, cloves, and cubeb pepper in. Okay, this is very important. You can listen your voice, then you can study your pronunciation is accurate or not. Otherwise, you cannot recognize your pronunciation is improving or not, right? So this is what I'm very try to study pronunciation recently harder, because from this April I'm going to start unno News Network from this April, and whenever I'm going to speak out my opinion to the rest of the world people, my pronunciation is not like native. Nobody listen to me. Okay, this is very important. Maybe you can talk, or you guys talking with non-Japanese people every day, but nobody warn you or caution you your pronunciation is not accurate or not like a native. But no complaint. But very important issue is, if you're going to closer to native speaking, they're going to respect you. I don't know why, but this is actually what's happening, right? So now I'm going to start today's lesson. Okay, today's lesson. Okay, here you go. I'm going to start the first video today. This is a long one. This is a very long one. 45 minutes? No, 1 hour. Oh my God.
was born in 1901 in Java, the dominant Indonesian island.
Okay.
He grew up under the demeaning rule of Dutch colonialism.
Whenever you have a question, just ask me. I'm going to stop video and explain for you Okay, this is 1 hour video, very long one. Maybe you don't know the history of Indonesia, right? But it's very important. You should understand why Sukarno is got the power in Indonesia, and how come Suharto is doing this kind of not the recent one, but the past 20, 30 years history. They are showing video. Okay, have a look.
Sukarno was an ardent nationalist who led Indonesia's independence movement. He became president of the new Republic of Indonesia in 1949.
Belum ada yang menandingi Sukarno sampai sekarang. Dialah yang mengerti nasion Indonesia. Karena itu juga Sukarno lah yang tidak jemu-jemunya menganjurkan tentang nation and character building.
President Sukarno's ambition was to unite a new nation from a clash of cultures.
Can you see video and keywords?
Yeah.
Can you? No problem? Okay.
Languages and the world's main religions. Indonesia is the fourth most populous nation on earth and the world's largest Muslim community.
Kepribadian banteng. Maka karena itu, ayo maju terus, jebol terus, tanam terus.
Sukarno thought he could preserve his own one-man rule by balancing the competing ideologies inside his country.
I tolerate all ideologies. The nationalist ideologies, the religious ideologies, the communist ideologies. So far, they are not making trouble or damage to the Indonesian state.
Sukarno's balancing act might have succeeded indefinitely if the Cold War hadn't been raging outside Indonesia, where the domino theory held sway.
Here's Indochina. If Indochina falls, Thailand is put in almost impossible position. The same is true of Malaya with its rubber and tin. The same is true of Indonesia.
Okay, one more recommendation for pronunciation. I, in the morning and afternoon, whenever I go outside and also watching video, I try to repeat what he said. Like this one is, the same is true of Indonesia. It's kind of same word. He's just speaking out. Okay, I try to concurrently speak out the same sentence. Just this is good for you to recognize your pronunciation. Also, remember, I think you had better installed this video, right? This one. This one. Screencast-O-Matic. Screencast-O-Matic here. You can hear left upper corner the software name. And this one is about this one is here. This one is right here. Test 3, test 2, test 1. This is yesterday I recorded. This 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 5 minutes. And then those remaining, the other one is already recorded for past weeks. And I just recorded this test one. And then you just recording by yourself, or you buy Screencast-O-Matic, and yearly, this is limited, this 3 or 5 minutes free. But try to testing 3 or 5 minutes good enough, just so you can use free this software. My case is 1 hour, 2 hours. This unit charge and yearly charge is $16 US, but not so expensive. So I'm registered this free of charge. No, I'm chargeable software. But you can just copy for this software. This is free. Okay, this is very good. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, let's continue.
If this whole part of Southeast Asia goes under communist domination or communist influence, Japan must inevitably be oriented toward the communist regime.
America says welcome in a big way to President Sukarno. Vice President Nixon and State Secretary Dulles are on hand at Washington's National Airport.
As leader of the highly strategic Indonesian domino, Sukarno was courted by leaders on both sides of the Cold War. He attempted a policy of...
今日は大阪城公園でこの言葉の意味をいろんな人に
of the Cold War. He attempted a policy of neutrality, believing this was the best way for his young nation to gain assistance from East and West.
May God give us, America and Indonesia, the best friendship which has ever existed between two nations.
Only 3 months after his address to Congress, he visits China and the Soviet Union. This was interpreted by Washington as going over to the communist enemy. The United States becomes even more alarmed by the success of the Indonesian Communist Party in the 1957 elections. Indonesia is now seen as a questionable ally. In the largest covert operation since World War II, President Eisenhower backs rebellions against Javanese rule in the outer islands.
Let's face it, the United States made a horrible blunder in 1957-58 in supporting an independence movement within Indonesia. It was a disaster. We should never have been in it in the first place, and if we were, we shouldn't have been in it the way we were.
American involvement was revealed when a U.S. pilot was shot down. The U.S. quickly withdrew support, and the rebellions collapsed. Western intervention had backfired. Having stood up to a superpower, President Sukarno's grip on his country tightens, and he becomes emboldened on the international stage. Sukarno uses the United Nations to protest about Western intervention in his region.
I hate imperialism. I detest colonialism. And I fear the...
At this time, Sukarno against America and asked for support working with the United Nations. This is the reason why he's just a problem for socialist people, supported by communist country China at that time.
Consequences of their last bitter struggle for life, we are determined that our nations and the world as a whole shall not be the plaything of one small corner of the world.
Shortly afterwards, Britain moves to form the new state of Malaysia on Indonesia's border. Sukarno is not consulted. Incensed, he launches a military campaign against British forces to crush Malaysia. Britain's top propaganda specialist, Norman Reddaway, is sent to Singapore to take charge of Britain's propaganda war.
What I remember Norman telling me, his mission was very simple. Do anything you can, he was told, to get rid of Sukarno. And he was given a budget. It was a matter of hundreds of thousands of pounds.
この動画をご覧いただくにあたり、次の点にご注意ください。この動画では、今まで明かされることのなかったあの日。
Sukarno had a well-deserved reputation as a womanizer. The CIA had tried to undermine him in the eyes of his people by producing a pornographic film with a body double wearing a Sukarno mask. At At least 6 assassination attempts were made on his life. Sukarno blamed the CIA.
Oh, this one I didn't know that.
For most of these.
Sixth National Congress of the Indonesian Communist Party opened.
By the 1960s, under the leadership of Chairman Aidit, the PKI had become the largest communist party outside.
Okay, this is PKI, the famous communist party in Indonesia, supported by China at that time.
China and the Soviet Union, with over 3 million members.
The personal appearance of President Sukarno increases the atmosphere of unity of this gathering.
Oh, he said 3 million members, okay? Indonesia at that time, I'm not sure, but now it's 250 million. So maybe at that time, 150 million, so fairly big number of communists.
Sukarno himself is a nationalist, not a communist. But he depends on the Communist Party because it can mobilize mass support for his political objectives. In return, Sukarno protected the PKI by banning anti-communist press and by restraining the army, also a potent political force in Indonesia.
Okay, this is his fault, supporting for Communist Party.
Chairman of the Communist Party had outlined a new approach of a kind of parliamentary road to power. At the same time, the Indonesian army was fairly unique because it operated also like a political party, and in that sense, the Communist Party and the army were in competition with each other.
Okay, this is a key point. Communist Party and army were in competition with each other.
From the village level up to the capital city.
The West as well.
This is a future reason Sukarno had took over, and Suharto took over his Sukarno's position.
As many Indonesians fear the country is in danger of falling into communist hands. Supporting the army is...
So as you know, since then, Suharto took power, then Chinese or overseas Chinese origin people, lots of,
seen as the best.
Lots of criminalized and also compressed. And many people escape, many rich Chinese people escaped to Singapore at that time.
Hope for the anti-communist cause. With the PKI growing rapidly under Sukarno's protection, the lines are drawn for an inevitable showdown. To the north, by 1965, the United States is escalating the war in Vietnam. In protest, U.S. buildings in Indonesia become a target.
There were mass demonstrations, thousands of screaming demonstrators that would throw rocks at our embassy. Several with flaming rags around them. So we were, in effect...
Oh, today's so many advertisements.
Rags around them. So we were, in effect, public enemy number one at that point. We had replaced the British.
Anti-Vietnam War protests are also the order of the day at the University of Wisconsin, where Ibnu Santoro has been studying economics for the past 5 years.
Jadi dia 2 tahun selama di USA, dia mendapatkan ijazah MA. Kemudian dia mengambil doktor PhD dengan tambahan 3 tahun lagi.
His friends from Wisconsin say he loved JFK, democracy, and the American way of life. But Ibnu's fate was to be sealed by the politics of his day.
Tapi karena ada konfrontasi antara Amerika dengan Indonesia pada waktu itu, jadi semua mahasiswa yang di Amerika, Indonesia ditarik lagi ke Indonesia semuanya, termasuk kakak saya, berikut dengan keluarganya.
Returning home to a country being polarized by Cold War politics, Ibnu gets a university job by joining the Indonesian Graduates Association, a group associated with the Communist Party. Tensions were also rising in the countryside where the PKI had been enforcing President Sukarno's land reform program. When the UN backs the formation of Malaysia, Sukarno withdraws Indonesia in protest and declares he'll join an axis with Peking and Hanoi. President Sukarno has now gone too far for the West. For nearly 15 years, he'd balanced both sides of the Cold War. By 1965, Sukarno appeared to be siding decisively with the Communists. The West, with Machiavellian logic, hoped the Indonesian army would step in. If the PKI mounted an
So just on the beginning, that's the reason CIA planned to involve this Sukarno regime, so switching to Suharto.
Successful coup, it would provide the perfect excuse.
Certainly in 1965 was the height of the Cold War. Vietnam was very important for the Americans, and the war wasn't going too well. The Marines had landed, but they had taken some bad reverses. And so when it appeared that at the back door, Indonesia was about to go completely into the communist orbit, there was a lot of concern. There was a lot of fear.
Then Sukarno appears to collapse at a public reception, raising the stakes even further.
There were rumors that his kidney was failing, and of course put the army on high alert.
It did raise questions. If he's sick, what will happen if he dies? Who will move? Who will take over? The PKI do it by themselves? Will the army do it? Will God knows who else do it?
Rumors circulate that an Army Council of Generals, backed by the CIA, is plotting to overthrow Sukarno.
The army was clearly keen if Sukarno became incapacitated, they would seize power.
Aniraga patut waspada. Apa angon waspada darmo ne jalan gisi. Angon munahang sahanane ngomo dari wake pete warado cicing boros dugas pidan sing kita ane tata tutuk rakyat tadi sengsara lantas tuh.
On the 30th of September 1965, Indonesia is changed forever. This 4-hour film is General Suharto's version of the events of that night. It was shown every year on all television stations while he was in power. It portrays junior army officers, supposedly under control of the communist PKI, kidnapping and killing the head of the army and 5 senior generals. General Suharto puts down the so-called 30th of September movement and heroically saves the nation. It's all over in less than 24 hours.
My God, they said, well, they've done it. And the air attaché came running in and said, there were the servants in his house said they were shooting out in the back of his house. Some general got hit, they said. Turns out to be Panjaitan, who lived right behind him. Well, this was beginnings of a very upsetting environment, but we didn't know what the heck was going on.
The morning of October 1st, when Time magazine called me and said, Don, there's been a tremendous coup. We don't know what's going on, but we know that 6 of the top Indonesian generals have been killed in this slaughter overnight. And we don't know whether Sukarno is behind it, what's going on, but you're the only person, the only journalist in Hong Kong that has a visa.
3 days after the murders, the bodies of the dead generals are discovered in a well. President Sukarno has appointed General Suharto to restore security. Suharto personally witnesses the exhumation. Suharto also closes down the civilian press. The army-controlled newspapers run false but graphic stories telling how communist women had tortured and mutilated the generals, gouging out their eyes, cutting off their sexual organs, and dancing over their bodies. The Indonesian Communist Party, the PKI, is blamed for the abortive coup.
The first big event I covered in Jakarta was the funeral of the 6 generals. We had heard tales about the way this slaughter had been done, the mutilation of the generals, how they had been tortured and killed. And we had no way of knowing it. We didn't speak to any eyewitnesses. And so if the army put out with authority that these bodies were mutilated, it became the perception.
If the Communist Party was responsible, Western diplomats could not understand why it would mount such an ineffective operation.
I would have said it made no sense at that time because the communists were moving very effectively. They were achieving their objectives by other means. And I would have said, why in the heck should they mount a coup?
It was...
Okay, what Suharto did kill the six generals supported Sukarno. Then since then he switching to the PKI, the Communist Party. Now just going to talk about that.
It was known that the murders were carried out by junior army officers calling themselves the 30th of September movement. But the question of who, if anyone, was pulling the strings behind these officers was much less certain. Nevertheless, the diplomatic cables do reveal the West was keen for Suharto and the army to drive home its advantage in this brutal Cold War struggle.
In the 3 or 4 weeks following the putsch, Norman Redaway put together a radio program which was then sent back into Jakarta and broadcast to Indonesian people, in the Indonesian language of course, purporting to be an Indonesian-sourced program. They were putting back a highly coloured version of the story that Suharto and his men were putting about.
The British-made propaganda program called The Voices from the Well was broadcast from a radio station set up next door to Suharto's house. The army set up a new tabloid to spread stories of the bestiality of the PKI. They emphasized that women will sink to utmost depravity under the godless communist influence.
It didn't have to take great skills for the army to whip up the sentiments against the communists. At the same time, I think the whole party was still left in the lurch because they still were in the mode of the parliamentary road to power. So they were essentially defenseless and armed without arms. Exactly the situation Aidit was worried about.
Chairman Aidit, the communist leader, went on the run in central Java, telling people to defy the accusations against him by carrying on as usual. It was advice that would prove fatal for many. PKI members in President Sukarno's cabinet were arrested, and other senior leaders secretly executed. Sukarno was rapidly losing his grip on power. He appealed for calm, but was powerless to protect the Communist Party he had courted for so many years.
After the 30s, when we heard about the rebels, we had very many books of from Leninism, Marxism. My husband said that we must burn it.
Mobs of students hit the streets in protest against the PKI. The army supplied them with lists of targets to be attacked. The Communist Party headquarters was the first to be destroyed.
As time went on, we saw that the anti-Sukarno factions of students gained in strength and importance, and of course they were manipulated and steered by the army. I often saw army officers talking with or conferring with students, letting them know how far they could go that day.
From far, I saw a fire and saw so many people crying, praising, exciting, and so on. And I said to my driver, "Oh, stop, say, we should drive on."
Dr. Sumiyoshi was coming home from work when she saw her house in flames.
Did you ever go back to your house, or was that the last?
Oh, no, not anymore to my house. It's already destroyed by the 2 or 3 trucks hired by group.
Oh, she might be PKI leader member, right?
Of Suharto.
Dr. Sumiyoshi and her husband left their 3 children with relatives and fled. Carmel Budiarjo lost her job as a translator in the Indonesian Foreign Office almost immediately. As suspected communists, Carmel and her husband were arrested by the military.
I was sitting in the small room on the side here, and the soldiers came in and they asked for me. That's where I was arrested, in the front room. When we were sitting in this jeep taking us out of town, the fellow who was in charge, he said, "You have to blindfold." And that completely destroyed me, because I just couldn't understand why they were doing this. So I became hysterical then. And of course you always had the worst idea of what was going to happen. You know, be taken off and shot or something like that.
She was to spend 4 years as a political prisoner. In the capital city, even people with the most tenuous links to the PKI are arrested en masse. With the names of party members being given under torture, the net gets wider and wider. Dr. Sumiyoshi and her husband are caught on the run.
When Suroso called me for an interrogation, and he is very, very cruel, he said, "Are you a member of the PKI? Oh no. Are you doctor of the CC? I am not a member. How can I be a doctor of that?"
As the wife of a party member, she was threatened with electric shock torture when she would not cooperate.
Oh, my heart beat it so hard. maybe that somebody can hear how hard it was. Then I blew him on his stomach. Hey, Pak Renat, don't do it, Pak. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Well, why? I am electrophile. What's that? Electrophile. Electrophile, I can die when you give me. Oh, it's very, very low. Although it's low, how low it is, I can die. And when I am dead, my spirit will strangle you.
With his balancing policy in ruins and under pressure from the military, President Sukarno appoints General Suharto as the new head of the army.
I, President, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Indonesia, appoint Major General Suharto. I appoint them as Minister, Commander of the Army.
Now in official control of the army, General Suharto plans the systematic destruction of the Communist Party. He immediately dispatches his para-commando troops to central Java. Here they purge any army officers sympathetic to the PKI. The army then turns its attention to alleged communist sympathizers all over Indonesia.
As long as there is still one communist in Indonesia, I think we still have military operations against this one person.
Well, Suharto gave the orders to clean up everything, to every commander who was under his organization. So this is what I did. I ordered all my people to send patrols out and captured everybody in the PKI post.
Captured PKI leaders at first stuck to their principles of keep your mouth shut, or you don't know anything, can't do anything, and don't understand anything. But the operations has found an efficient answer to these slogans by launching the drive of surrender, support the government, or die.
The district of Prambanan, known for its 1,000-year-old Hindu temple, was one of the first to feel the wrath of Suharto's ideological cleansing campaign.
The army swept through Java, looking for communists, stirring people up, and they came upon many peasants, and the soldiers would say, you're PKI, you're communist. And the poor peasant farmer would say, what do you mean PKI? What are you talking about? And the interrogation would go on, and the farmer might say, oh, you're talking about those guys who came around and offered us seed at cheap prices. Oh, yeah, sure. We signed up with them, but that doesn't mean I'm PKI. I wasn't a communist. That's just fellows who helped me out when things were tough. And certainly they did kill communists. They also killed a lot of people who were probably not communists.
Sudah dipuruki dan guru yang mati kecil wonten lepen iki. Sore gawe ruangan anu nggih guru. Ana sing sejarah niku nggih akeh ning kula mboten ngerti. Wong dililang kok ledaw. Nek sing katen wong edan, nek sing Prambanan wong kulon. Nek elingan kula nggih antane 800-an nggih. Empat.
Chairman Aidik, the communist leader, went on the run in central Java, telling people to defy the accusations against him by carrying on as usual. It was advice that would prove fatal for many. PKI members in President Sukarno's cabinet were arrested, and other senior leaders secretly executed. Sukarno was rapidly losing his grip on power. He appealed for calm, but was powerless to protect the Communist Party he had courted for so many years.
After the 30s, when we heard about the rebels, we had very many books from Leninism, Marxism, and so on. My husband said that we must burn it.
Some portions repeating. Same.
Mobs of students hit the streets in protest against the PKI. The army supplied them with lists of targets to be attacked. The Communist Party headquarters was the first to be destroyed.
This portion duplicated.
As time went on, we saw that the anti-Sukarno factions of students gained in strength and importance, and of course they were manipulated and steered by the army. I often saw army officers talking with or conferring with students, letting them know how far they could go that day.
From far, I saw a fire and saw so many people crying, praising, exciting, and so on. And I said to my driver, "Oh, stop, Jack. You must, we should drive on."
Dr. Sumiasi was coming home from work when she saw her house in flames.
Did you ever go back to your house, or was that the last?
Oh, no, not anymore. To my house. It's already destroyed by the 2 or 3 trucks hired by group of Suharto.
Dr. Sumiasi and her husband left their 3 children with relatives and fled. Carmel Budiarjo lost her job as a translator in the Indonesian Foreign Office almost immediately. As suspected communists, Carmel and her husband were arrested by the military.
I was sitting in the small room on the side here, and the soldiers came in and they asked for me. That's where I was arrested, in the front room. When we were sitting in this jeep taking us out of town, the fellow who was in charge, he said, you have to blindfold. And that completely destroyed me, because I just couldn't understand why they were doing this. So I became hysterical then. And of course you always had the worst idea of what was going to happen. You know, be taken off and shot or something like that.
She was to spend 4 years as a political prisoner. In the capital city, even people with the most tenuous links to the PKI are arrested en masse. With the names of party members being given under torture, the net gets wider and wider. Dr. Sumiasi and her husband are caught on the run.
When Suroso called me for an interrogation, and he is very, very cruel, he said, "Are you a member of the PKI? Oh no. Are you doctor of the CC? I am not a member. How can I be a doctor of that?"
As the wife of a party member, she was threatened with electric shock torture when she would not cooperate.
Yes. Oh, my heart beat it so hard. Maybe that somebody can hear how hard it was. Then I blew him on his stomach. Hey, Pak Sarang, don't do it, Pak. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Well, why? I am electrophile. What's that? Electrophile. Electrophile, I can die when you give me. Oh, it's very, very low. Although it's low, how low it is, I can die. And when I am dead, my spirit will strangle you.
With his balancing policy in ruins and under pressure from the military, President Sukarno appoints General Suharto as the new head of the army.
I, President, Supreme Commander of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Indonesia, appoint Major General Suharto. I appoint him as Minister, Commander of the Army.
Now in official control of the army, General Suharto plans the systematic destruction of the Communist Party. He immediately dispatches his para-commando troops to central Java. Here they purge any army officers sympathetic to the PKI. The army then turns its attention to alleged communist sympathizers all over Indonesia.
As long as there is still one communist in Indonesia, I think we still have a military operation against this one person.
Well, Suharto gave the orders to clean up everything, to every commander who was under his organization. So this is what I did. I ordered all my people to send patrols out and captured everybody in the PKI post.
Captured PKI leaders at first stuck to their principles of keep your mouth shut, or you don't know anything, can't do anything, and don't understand.
Actually, 3 million people are PKI members are killed, right?
And anything. But the operations has found an efficient answer to these slogans.
Oh, but she said some interpreter put in jail for 4 years, so many people in jail, but not 3 million. I think many people are killed.
By launching the drive of surrender, support the government, or die.
The district of Prambanan, known for its 1,000-year-old Hindu temple, was one of the first to feel the wrath of Suharto's ideological cleansing campaign.
The army swept through Java, looking for communists, stirring people up, and
just a moment, I just stay up. This is working. Right? Yeah, Kyoko. Right here. Okay.
they came upon many peasants, and the
Those communists selling people out. 土や巻き起こす。前へかき回り遅らせる。可動詞3番。呼び起こす。可動詞4番。calmness。呼び起こすか。かきたてる。calmness stir people up. calmness stir people up. かきたてる。かきたてる。かきたてるか。駆り立てる。奮起させる。奮起させる。いや。奮起させる。シェイク。怒らせる。Yeah.
The soldiers would say, "You PKI, you're a communist," and the poor peasant farmer would say, "What do you mean PKI? What are you talking about?" And the interrogation would go on, and the farmer might say, "Oh, you're talking about those guys who came around and offered us seed." At cheap prices. Oh yeah, sure. We signed up with them, but that doesn't mean I'm PKI. I wasn't a communist. This is just fellows who helped me out, and things were tough. And certainly they did kill communists. They also killed a lot of people who were probably not communist.
Okay, so not only communists, they killed them.
Berarti kuduki dan guru yang mati kecil wonten 8 dikit.
Okay, what about no translation?
Sore dari ruangan anu nggih.
Couple minutes.
Ana sing sejarah niku nggih akeh ning kula mboten ngerti. Wong Giliran kok lega. Nek sing daten wong edan nek sing Prambanan wong kulon. Kena elingan kula nggih antane 8 pusang nggih. Pas.
The army was in complete control. You couldn't get 10 feet out of Jakarta without proper papers and permission from the army. After hearing reports of great slaughter going on, I was finally allowed to drive down there. At that time, there were 2 or 3 military trucks filled with civilians, families, men, women, children. And we were told these were communist suspects. This wasn't something I was supposed to see. But I can recall that day there were something like 2,000 people just in that one day being rounded up and taken to a central holding place.
One of the most amazing things was that you had a major, massive communist movement done in with weaponry and power and force that was contributed by the Soviets, which is there's a tremendous irony in that. And one can't help but take a certain satisfaction in that.
In Yogyakarta, Ibnu Santoro's name is given to the army.
Jadi itu tepatnya adalah tanggal 10 November tahun 1965, ya. Kakak saya didatangi oleh 2 polisi militer, ya. Kemudian dijemput, kemudian dibawa untuk ke kantor polisi militer tadi itu. Terus kemudian pamit dengan istrinya sama anaknya dicium, terus kemudian juga tenang aja, saya mau ada urusan sebentar dengan pihak yang berwenang.
Ibnu Santoro was taken to this interrogation center, only a few hundred meters from his house. Here he is detained and tortured.
Kalau ditahan di situ, kemudian tiap hari dia datang mengantar makanan, minuman, pakaian, juga rokok. Setelah itu, kemudian setelah selang beberapa bulan, ya, itu kita mau ke sana, sudah dikatakan bahwa Ibnu Santoro sudah tidak ada di situ lagi.
Ibnu is taken on a 4-hour drive with 22 others. One of Ibnu's fellow prisoners on the truck manages to write a list of everyone's names on the journey that day. He persuades one of the soldiers to draw a map of their final destination, which makes it back to relatives. Ibnu is taken to a forest near the village of Kaliwiro, where a hole has been prepared. Here he is shot in the back of the head. Seven weeks after the murder of the generals, Communist Party Chairman Aidid is finally captured in central Java. He's forced to sign a confession and is then executed on General Suharto's personal orders. The once invincible President Sukarno is now powerless to prevent the wholesale slaughter unfolding in his country. General Suharto and the army now plan his downfall and the complete takeover of government. The military arms civilian death squads and supervises further mass killings. This man was part of a Muslim militia gang in East Java in 1965.
Sometimes, all the students were collected in a certain place and then instructed by a certain leader from the army, and they distribute to us a number of people, and ask us to kill them. So we know exactly that this is organized.
The U.S. provided secret financial assistance.
I saw many broken bodies and many pieces, torsos, legs, arms, floating in the canals. And this went on day after day, night after night. Hundreds of them.
Although there were several journalists inside Indonesia filing reports, the true story of a one-sided slaughter did not immediately reach the Western public.
I reported many interviews of catastrophic occurrences, but a lot of them didn't see the light of day in newspapers.
I wrote a daily file for Time magazine, and I also sent reports to the BBC and to NBC News. most of my material was going through other journalists who were staff people in Singapore, and they would edit my stories, discard my stories, because they didn't believe them. It's incredible that they could second guess and kill my stories that I was gathering on the spot.
In the mid-1960s, at the height of the Cold War in Southeast Asia, stories that might engender sympathy for communists were not welcome. In this context, most newspapers and broadcasters reported the Army's death squads as engaged in a civil war.
There really was no sense that there was a centrally organized slaughter of alleged communists who was being presented from all directions as a sort of running battle going on between, organized communism and an organized army. It was a cleaning up operation. It was not a slaughter. The word slaughter didn't pass anyone's lips at that time. The scale of it was not understood.
On the island of Bali, the army laid the groundwork for communal butchery. Propaganda teams toured the countryside, spreading stories of PKI plans for women to seduce and castrate soldiers to obtain weapons. There was a deadly choice. You either took part in crushing the communists, or you were one of them.
I was told by General Solwa Eddy that whereas his boys, as he put it, had to encourage and stimulate the killing in Java, the killing in Bali was so intense that they had to stop it. They had to put a stop to it.
Di sini banyak sekali orang dipotong. Saya sendiri, saya nggak tahu, saya nggak sengaja bicara. Ketemu saya orang dipotong, saya begini. Nih kenapa anaknya sih salah, saya menangis, saya sama anak saya pada saat nangis, kenapa nangis, nanti dipotong, saya digalak. Kenapa nangis orang dipotong, ketagihan potong, ya boleh saya potong.
Today, the tourist brochures sell Bali as an exotic paradise. They don't mention that 80,000 people were butchered here in the space of only 2 weeks. From the
only 2 weeks, 80,000. Oh my gosh.
West Point of view, the bloodbath had begun as an opportunity to see an end to Sukarno and the communists.
This is a copy from some other video, so this is I tried to read all those bus before, but very difficult to read what they're talking about. Just must be worldwide patient.
Some news organizations outside Indonesia were instruments for broadcasting Western propaganda into Indonesia.
Of course, Radio Australia worked closely with the Foreign Affairs Department in Canberra and got advice or guidance, let's put it that way, got guidance from the department as to what it should say in its broadcasts. From time to time that guidance wasn't followed, but mostly it's true to say it was followed.
The BBC's reputation amongst listeners in Indonesia was high, and at a time when the Indonesian people would feel that they could not rely on their own media, they of course are going to be leaning on what they regard as reliable sources, BBC, Radio Australia, and so on. I think there's no question whatsoever that we were all manipulated. I think probably the manipulation was being orchestrated by Norman Redaway, but I've no doubt that he too was also a part of an organisation. in which the Indonesians played their part. The Americans certainly played their part.
Six months after the murder of the generals, hundreds of thousands of communists and their alleged supporters lay dead. General Suharto's troops surround Sukarno's palace, causing him to flee by helicopter. Later that day, President Sukarno is forced to sign a letter which hands the power of the presidency to General Suharto. Suharto immediately uses the letter to arrest 13 members of President Sukarno's cabinet and to legitimize the slaughter of suspected communists.
Jelas dan kita semua tahu bahwa kekacauan dan ketegangan sekarang ini disebabkan karena PKI. Saya menggunakan surat perintah ini untuk membubarkan Partai Komunis Indonesia.
Dikiranya SP 11 Maret itu satu transfer of sovereignty, of authority. Padahal tidak.
Despite President Sukarno's objections, General Suharto had effectively wrested control of the Indonesian state. His takeover was reported as a gentlemanly affair in the London Observer and welcomed in the New York Times, which hailed Suharto as a gleam of light in Asia.
I welcomed the Suharto regime, and most of the journalists did. It was the first time order had been seen in Indonesia for about 10 years. The Economist in early to mid-1966 started peddling the US line that Indonesia was safer under a disciplined rule. That certainly was true. It was safer. But to deny the level of destruction and the human tragedy that had taken place seemed to me quite idiotic.
The majority, I think, of the press was looking the other way. You know, there was no condemnation of it, I think. It was kind of tolerated and accepted.
Because even if Suharto's army killed 100,000, but Westerners are favor for him because of the eliminating Communist Party to turn to democratic country. So everybody welcomed him.
In fact, a kind of welcoming that Indonesia was joining the fold of the anti-communist movement.
The Indonesian domino ultimately fell on the western side of the Cold War divide. Compared with getting bogged down in Vietnam, it was seen as a clear victory for anti-communism and for President Lyndon Johnson. Visiting Vietnam later in 1966, LBJ was to invoke Indonesia as a rallying point. He told U.S. troops that their exploits were the reason why people in Indonesia were enjoying freedom that they didn't previously have. But in reality, it would be more than 3 decades before Indonesia would taste political freedom and freedom of speech. Now, after General Suharto has fallen, Indonesians can finally question his official version of their history. Like Professor Arif Budianto, the forensic pathologist who in 1965 was called to examine the bodies of the dead generals.
I got 3 bodies to examine. Not a single one of the bodies do we find the penis size. Or the signs of torturing them, we don't find. Nobody is glad to sign our reports because the newspapers, they wrote already about the torturing. They said the penis too, they cut it off and then they throw it. They play with that, the Garwani's women.
Professor Budianto's autopsy report was suppressed under the orders of General Suharto. Many Western journalists accepted the lurid story without question.
Terror and bestiality was a calculated part of the PKI plan.
They even had special mutilation squads made up of girls. Sex orgies went on before the torture ceremonies got underway. Eventually, the mutilated bodies were dumped down a well.
This monument was built at the place where the generals' bodies were dumped down the well.
This is what pains me most, to see the women here, because I spent several years together with women who had been tortured to confess that they had perpetrated sexual crimes against the bodies of these generals. And of course we know that that was not true. Their confessions were published in the newspapers. And this was perhaps the most important propaganda weapon that Suharto used to send people out and kill members of our suspects, communist suspects, family, everything. Ini dia umur berapa? 10 juga. Si kecil. Dan ini juga 10. 12. Kenapa dibawa ke sini? Hah? 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 Oh. Tapi gurunya bilang ini betul apa yang dilihat sini. Tapi sebetulnya banyak bohong di sini. Banyak hal yang diuraikan di sini di diorama itu tidak benar. Karena saya dulu juga kenal dengan wanita-wanita yang dikatakan begini, tapi mereka tidak berbuat begini. Jadi ini banyak sekali bohong di sini.
Gimana maksudnya bohong?
Suharto itu berkuasa. Jadi dia membuat ceritanya sendiri apa yang terjadi di sini supaya orang benci sama PKI.
Dulu kan Sukati itu putar 31 September.
Iya.
Itu filmnya itu benar apa enggak itu?
Tidak benar. Ya. Banyak bohong.
Oh, he tried to tell the truth.
These killings shouldn't be repeated. What happened after this was not 6 people being killed, but more than 600,000 people killed. And these are the people I'm thinking of now, because I think they deserve a monument for the way in which they were killed.
Military courts put more than 1,000 people on trial for the murder of the generals. There were no acquittals. The courts ruled that the Indonesian Communist Party was the sole puppet master behind the murders. Over 70 death sentences were handed down for the crime of having prior knowledge of the plan. But it's far from clear who else had prior knowledge of the plan to kidnap the generals. True responsibility is variously attributed to President Sukarno, General Suharto, and Western intelligence agencies.
Okay,
who else had prior knowledge of the plan to kidnap the generals? True responsibility is variously attributed to President Sukarno, General Suharto, and Western intelligence agencies.
Okay, finally this coup and just killing communist people is those people are responsible for this event. Okay, this is a long video. How's that? I viewed several times before, but every time I recognize a new facts, Indonesian history, and they are very brutality they did in the past. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Very long.
Unno-san.
Yes.
I think Indonesia has many islands. Therefore, Indonesia needs a very strong inside force for the Suharto?
Which one? Suharto?
Suharto?
Or Sukarno? Which one?
first president.
Oh, Sukarno.
Sukarno. Therefore, I think Indonesia is difficult to realize a democracy.
Why? Why?
Because Indonesia has many islands, and they need a very strong inside force. But democracy is needs a kind of distribute the power balance.
You mean the unification or
yeah.
cooperation?
Yes.
Whatever. They have 14,000 islands, 17 or 14,000 islands?
Yes.
Yes.
Many islands.
Yes, this is the current Indonesian issue. Last week I discussed, and they are kind of most concern is how to communicate each island. 14,000.
Yes.
Yeah. And also not only the communication, but also materials and everything else. And what is the most efficient way to communicate island by island? Currently, just only the way to commute small island by small ship, but this is not sufficient, I believe. So last week I discussed about that kind of delivery. Okay, internet might be capable, spread all over Indonesia. Internet, okay, and then also food or some other materials by, I told you last week, drone is most capable to communicate, sending material for those people. Beforehand it's almost impossible, but now it's capable. But commuting by people is not easy. And 14,000 is airplane, it's impossible. Helicopter is impossible. So this is the other transportation is the other concern, how to solve those issues. Democracy is, of course, it takes time. So Sukarno, at that time, 3 million Communist Party members, many people escaped to Ireland. Very difficult to find them, to arrest it. Right?
Yes.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
So now move to Joko Widodo's New Indonesia.
So I have 2 points.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The first one is during this transition from Sukarno to Suharto, then how ethnic Chinese was treated.
Oh, kill them all.
Of 3 million.
Yeah. So you kill them all. Even if just on video they said, "You do you know the communist member?" And the farmer said, "No, I don't know." But somebody give them seed for farming, give them something and sign it. Okay, signature, put on paper. Yes, he said, and then army killed him. So actually, basically, they tried to kill them all. Okay, if you change your mind or if you change your sword, you don't need to die. But actually, they tried to kill them all.
Yeah, I know the farmers mostly local people. Then Communist Party is the partially managed by ethnic Chinese. I don't know, but how many ethnic Chinese were involved?
Yeah.
In this communist movement.
Yeah, exactly. So still since this after coup, many Chinese are attacked by the government, military, army, police people. So several times Chinese people are killed in the massacre, or not ethnic cleansing, but many people are killed since then. So at every time, those Chinese, overseas Chinese, these people escape to Singapore. Then going back to Indonesia, back and forth many times. But recently, this kind of attack is more very stable, not happen again. But several decades ago, they happened many times. And Chinese people, they are doing business very well compared with local Indonesian people. So 90% of the business people are overseas Chinese in Indonesia. Okay, what is about next question?
Yeah, next question is, now we don't see any case where the Muslim country came with the Communist Party. That was coalition of the communists and the Muslim.
No, nothing at all. But currently, Indonesia, they have problem is Muslim is insurgent, is extremist, is not similar to ISIL.
So why we don't see any Muslim country with Communist Party?
No, I don't think so.
Both is not too much sitting together.
No, I don't think so. Communist people is they do not spread the rest of the world from China. Not now. That time, Vietnam War, 1960s, early 70s, Westerners very heavy threat to spreading communist people in Asia Pacific or the other area of the Middle East. But since then, not much. Recently, they are very much people very much worrying about spread extremists of the Islamic people. Islamic extremists, they have very spread Africa and Asia and Middle East.
So is it that the Muslim country and Communist country?
No, not communist country.
I mean, in the case of ASEAN countries such as Vietnam, which is not Muslim country but governed by Communist Party, and also the same is true on Cambodia. And when you look at Malaysia, it's not Communist Party but it's Muslim country.
Yeah, right. You are talking about Vietnam. Okay, let's say beforehand, several decades ago, Communist Party is kind of extremist, right? They try to turn over the country, but not now. Even Vietnam, China is sort of communist, is still mild, moderate, right? So all the people there are not worrying about the communist activity, right? And also Vietnam and China, they're not so much intend to spread their communist ideology to the world, right? Not anymore. Like Africa is one good example. None of the countries they try to expand the communism. Chinese they never advertise their ideology in Africa, but they try to influence authoritarian, not democracy.
We never seen any country with both communist and Muslim.
No.
So we only see either of the country with Muslim country or communist country.
Right. No, not communist country, just only Muslim. Muslim and Muslim country, they are very much worried about extremists of Muslim.
Yeah, the Muslim country doesn't have Communist Party in the ruling power, and Communist country doesn't have the Muslim in the region.
Exactly. The democratic country, they are very much fear of the Communist Party in the government organization, right? So world is obviously split, like China, Vietnam, and one more country, which country is it? Is it Laos? I forget that. It's some other country is Muslim, communist country, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, Cambodia. Right? And communist country in Africa? No, I don't think so. They just Africa is lots of authoritarian, not democracy. Right? So I showed you before the video. China, socialist country is good or democracy is good. Which one is better? But the conclusion is both can survive in the world, but actually from democratic country or dictatorship country, from those country or switching to communist country or socialist country, it's not easy. Or many people not so much eager to switching from democratic country to socialist country. Recently, I never heard about this kind of movement, right? But I think China or Vietnam is regime or political regime is not bad, you know. But none of government, none of country try to change to those style of the country, right? This is also interesting, right? Very interesting. Why? I think the Chinese, you know, political, like they just freedom of speech, or they have some more centralized, but it's not bad, you know. But none of government try to switch to focus on socialist country. This is very interesting. Vietnam is not bad, but nobody tried to make similar type of country in the world, right? Or maybe Cuba, yes, but not few, not many, right? But this is I tell you, this is very interesting issue because maybe reason is people living in that country, they don't know what is a communist or socialist country is, so they don't want to change government regime. I think this is a big reason. Or somebody will going to do some coup d'etat or revolution. Maybe they can change, but usually in that case is only Venezuela, Maduro is authoritarian. It's authoritarian, but democracy, right?
Yeah, there are many. The pressure to change regime from the socialist country to democratic country.
Yeah.
We have some cases in the world where regime is changing from democratic to authoritarian or junta, like Thailand and the other countries. Authoritarian is more common something.
Yeah, Thailand is just a good one example. Junta is govern the country, but capitalism or democracy is not so much change, right? They have restricted some freedom, free speech, but almost the same as Vietnam. Vietnam itself is if you live in there, not so much difference among the other democratic countries. So recently, recognition which country is good or bad is we can judge by who's the leader or who's what kind of organization to selecting the president or prime minister in that country. Not the kind of political regime or not. What kind of political regime or not. It's very difficult to judge Trump is good or Xi Jinping is good. Very difficult to make a judgment, right? So I'm right in democracy in many countries. We cannot say which government is good, which government is bad. Or even if authoritarian country like Botswana is not bad. Kagame is very good, even if he is authoritarian. And also Rwanda is Rwanda is good. Yes, good, because this country is also many decades just authoritarian country, but president is very good intention to govern the country. So this case is authoritarian, not bad. Right? America is the most ahead of democracy, but is this a good country or not? I don't think this is a good country. No, I don't think so. So very difficult to judge which one is good or bad. Right? So this is my conclusion. So America believes democracy is best in the world, so they try to cause revolution or Arab Spring in Middle East, but actually the spread or like Iraq to switch into democracy. So they believe Middle East is democracy is spread all over Middle East, and then finally those countries will get balanced and with peacefully democratic peaceful countries will spread all over Middle East. But that is not true. This is not true, right? So we can say democracy is the best. Also, we can say authoritarian is bad. What is good is depending on people, and people living there, they are happy or not. So this is a major. Okay, their life level of standard is improving, or they are happy for living there. This kind of standard. How to measure it, right? Okay, now we are moving to the Joko Widodo to New Indonesia.
Unno-san.
Yes.
I have a question. Usually, Communist Party don't permit religion and God. But many major of the Indonesian is believe Muslim, Islamic. And why ordinary Indonesian people support the Indonesian Communist Party?
Oh, okay. Sukarno is at that time they need to try to control his power. So he admit Muslim, he admit Communist Party, and admit the current army power. Okay, military. Military is against communists, but he accepted 3 organizations. Okay, Muslim organization, communist organization, army organization. He tried to take balance, but unfortunately, communist organization getting power year by year. So Suharto they did a coup. So that's the reason. This is the reason. And Sukarno is he didn't change his course. At some certain period of time, he need to eliminate Communist Party, but he didn't. That is his fault. At that time, also Vietnam War is started. So America is very fear of the growing power of Communist Party in Indonesia. So that's the reason CIA deliver money to support Suharto army. Okay? So this is the history.
Thank you.
Okay. So now is I try to move into Joko Widodo's New Indonesia. Okay? Starting October 20, 2014, Joko Widodo started his presidency in the 3rd largest democracy in the world. He had neither roots in the army nor established family. Indonesia is considered by others a successful having maintained democracy, tolerance, and pluralism in a predominantly Muslim society. Foreign Minister Retno Marsudi said in London on April 2016. Indonesia is seen as a laboratory for democracy to the rest of the world. It's a country where Islam and democracy can go hand in hand, Jokowi said. Indonesia was the most populous Muslim nation in the world, with more than 200 million Muslims living in the country. They are constantly ready to work with nations in counterterrorism, with a leader truly committed to upholding the universal values of humanity, pluralism, and tolerance, and to promoting democracy and human rights. The president also explained that Indonesia's military was no longer involved in politics. Freedom of speech, freedom of press, and freedom of religion are all guaranteed by the Constitution. Every citizen has a right to be president, he added. Much to address Indonesia's president. Today, Joko Widodo will seek to put some proposal back into his presidency in the annual address to Parliament. Nearly 3 years after he took office, Jokowi, as he is known, seems no closer to fulfilling his lofty promises. The economy is growing more slowly than expected, and the reforms that might attract foreign investment have stalled. Jokowi's opponents are looking forward to the next presidential election in 2019. They won a notable victory in the local election in April 2016 when they allied with Islamists to remove one of the president's allies, Basuki Cahaya Purnama, the Christian governor of Jakarta. Jokowi had since cracked down on the extremists, moving to ban groups opposed to the multi-confessional constitution. But it has exposed him to charges of undermining democracy, a corruption scandal in which politicians from the ruling coalition are being investigated over the alleged theft of $170 million in the state funds will only add it to the president's problem. Okay, we're going to move into YouTube video. This is Talk to Al Jazeera. Jokowi, Indonesia is ready to become a mediator regarding North Korea. 2017. Joko Widodo rose to power, promising to be the people's president, and with an initial approval rating of 70%. Expectations were high. His dreams of further improving the country's economy, especially for the poor, and to fight corruption and bureaucracy, however, were very ambitious. He promised to transform Indonesia's infrastructure to interconnect its most remote regions, a project at the estimated cost of over $1 trillion. But only in 2015, Indonesia's economy, South Asia's largest, was growing at its lowest rate in 6 years. Meanwhile, the president's tough approach on drugs, including his push to execute drug traffickers, have created diplomatic tension since many of the accused have been foreign nationals. Additionally, dispute with China over territories in the South China Sea and the growing tension brought about by North Korea's threat and putting the region under a lot of pressure. And politically, things aren't looking very good. One of Widodo's main political allies and closest friends, Jakarta's government, Basuki Tjahaja Purnama Ahok, lost the April election that wouldn't kept him in office another term. The Christian governor's popularity tumbled after his political enemies accused him of blasphemy against Islamic beliefs. So, is Widodo's Indonesia at a crossroad between a multi-religious state and a nation ruled by Islamic principles? As President Widodo is close to completing 3 years in office, we discussed his record and problems he is facing domestically and internationally. Okay? And, okay. イスラム、アホックはね、こう捕まって、イスラム暴徒部で捕まって、で、これイスラム教、インドネシアイスラム教なんでね、やっぱりイスラム教っていうのはフリーダムスピーチってないんですよね。で、これはもう明らかにそういうことではめられたっていう。スハルドの時は共産党だったけど、今回は、アホックは、クリスチャンね。クリスチャンが、彼はジャカルタの首相だったんで、やっぱり睨まれて、ね。だから、まあ、アホックはだから司法に任せても結局、有罪になっちゃうんでしょうね。これ、北朝鮮の問題話し合いで解決するべきだって、多分ジョコビドで言ってんでしょうね。トランプのイスラムに対する依頼に対して何も心配。中国の南シナ海における課題も攻撃なんかをしながら、じっくり話していけばいいって。これ、ジョコビドで言ってんですよね。南シナ海は、関連諸国が共同でパトロールすればいいって。でもこれ実際には、中国の漁船なんか爆破してますからね。麻薬は非常に厳しい。OK、何？
インドネシアがメディエーターになるっていうのは、なんだ、南シナ海の件で、北朝鮮との関係があるっていう。
メディエーターっていうんじゃなくて、やっぱりそんなに彼らまだ、ジョコビドで力持ってると思ってないんで、インドネシアが、例えば日本とか、ベトナムとか、その、東南アジアの国々に提案しているのは、それぞれ東南アジアの国々の人たちが力を合わせて、一緒にやっていきましょう。南シナ海についてもそうだし、北朝鮮についてもそうだし、って、そういうようなスタンスで彼が話をしてるんですね。ただ彼は、非常にこう、日本と違って、ディサイシブで、麻薬なんかもそうだけども、オーストラリア人も銃殺権にしちゃうんですね。だからそういう意味では、こう、非常にこう、中国の漁船でも爆破しちゃうし、はっきりしてるんですね、彼。それはフィリピンのドゥテルテもそうですよね。だから、まあ、そういうことですね。
北朝鮮の件が関係するってのもよく、
これね、なんでこんなこと言ってんのこれもよくわかんないんだけど、彼はそう言ってるんですよね。理由は言ってないんですね、文章の中で。後で見てみればわかりますけど。そんなに深くは考えてないと思う。距離あるからね、彼もあんまりそんな関心が強くはない、ね。Okay? Okay, keyword. Gubernatorial election. Blasphemy, blasphemy. Huh? Oh, just explanation of the word meaning. Preferential. Code of conduct. Introspection. これだけだ。難しい言葉ない。短いのかな？ Okay, just have a look. ビデオ見てみる。 じゃあ見てみましょう。
To win these elections to firm your power base, how
短くないので25分。これね。
He rose to power, promising to be the people's president. Joko Widodo, commonly known as Jokowi, became president of Indonesia, one of Asia's leading economies, the country with the largest Muslim population in the world, in October 2014. With an initial approval rating of 70%, expectations were high. His dreams of further improving the country's economy, especially for the poor, and to fight corruption and bureaucracy, was very ambitious. He promised to transform Indonesia's infrastructure, to interconnect its most remote regions, a project of over $1 trillion. But only in 2015, Indonesia's economy, Southeast Asia's largest, was growing at its lowest rate in 6 years. Meanwhile, the president's tough approach on drugs, including his policies to execute drug traffickers, have created diplomatic tensions, since many of those killed have been foreign nationals. Additionally, disputes with China over territories in the South China Sea and the growing tension brought by North Korea's threats are putting the region under a lot of pressure. And politically, things aren't looking very good. One of Widodo's main political allies and close friends, Jakarta's Governor Basuki Cahayapurnama, Ahok, lost the April election that would have kept him in office another term. The Christian governor's popularity tumbled after his political enemies accused him of blasphemy against Islamic beliefs. So is Widodo's Indonesia at a crossroads between a multi-religious state and a nation ruled by Islamic principles. I'm Steph Fasen in Jakarta. In an exclusive interview, President Joko Widodo discusses issues he's facing domestically and internationally. Now he nearly completes half of his term. Joko Widodo, President of Indonesia, talks to Al Jazeera. Mr. President, thank you so much for talking to Al Jazeera. You've gone through quite a tough time recently. Your friend and political ally, Governor Ahok, has lost the Jakarta election.
I remember why I just picked up this video without narratives, because his answer is always Indonesian language, so just narrative and coming down bottom of the screen. I remember.
And we had mass rallies in the capital for quite a long time. You really needed the governor to win these elections to firm your power base. How sad are you about his loss?
Indonesia ini memiliki 34 provinsi. Jadi pilkada gubernur itu tidak hanya di Jakarta. Menurut saya yang paling penting pilgub di Jakarta itu aman, damai, dan rakyat bisa menggunakan hak pilihnya dengan baik. Mengenai kalah dan menang itu biasa dalam demokrasi. Yang paling penting Jakarta tetap aman dan pilkadanya berlangsung dengan damai.
But how worried are you? Because we had like hundreds of thousands of people on the street, and many have been pushing people in Jakarta to vote for a Muslim candidate. Many people I spoke to, they said, we had no choice, we had to vote for a Muslim.
Saya kira tidak masalahnya bukan masalah minoritas dan bukan minoritas, tetapi ini sekali lagi ini adalah politik. Jadi isu apa yang digoreng?
But they use a religious issue for their political gains.
Ya, dan meskipun ada demonstrasi besar pun juga berlangsung dengan damai. Jadi memang di dalam baik pilihan presiden, baik pilihan gubernur, baik pilihan bupati wali kota, saya mengalami semuanya. Kalau ada isu yang bisa digoreng, ya digoreng. Kalau ada isu yang perlu didorong, ya didorong. Biasa, yang paling penting, setelah pilihan gubernur, sehari setelah pilihan gubernur, Pak Ahok dan Pak Anies bertemu. Inilah kedewasaan demokrasi kita. Jadi saya kira tidak perlulah diangkat-angkat masalah yang berkaitan dengan isu-isu yang sebelumnya terjadi.
One of the reasons Governor Ahok lost was the blasphemy case against him.
Why did you agree with that case happening against him? Because it was very clear that he would that it would undermine his chances of re-election.
Sekali lagi, yang paling penting demokrasi ini berjalan dengan baik. Demokrasi di dalam pilihan gubernur dan wakil gubernur itu berjalan dengan baik. Dan rakyat bisa menggunakan hak pilihnya dengan baik. Dan partisipasi di dalam pilihan gubernur di Jakarta itu sangat tinggi, yaitu 78%. Artinya rakyat menggunakan hak pilihnya dengan baik.
Did you think he had a fair chance of winning?
Menurut saya,
the president was reluctant to answer questions regarding the legal case against Ahok, showing how sensitive the case is in Indonesia. The verdict against the governor will be on May 9.
Saya kira masalah yang terkait dengan penistaan agama itu sudah berlangsung dan sudah ditangani di wilayah hukum. Menurut saya yang paling penting Jakarta sekarang adalah menatap ke depan. Bagaimana program-program nantinya bisa berjalan dengan baik, kemudian gubernur terpilih ini bisa melaksanakan programnya, memperbaiki Jakarta dengan baik. Saya kira yang paling penting itu.
But for the whole of Indonesia, Indonesia is known in the world as a moderate Islamic country with the largest population of Muslims in the world. What we've seen recently, and I've been here for 20 years now, is that the more conservative version of Islam is getting more popularity in Indonesia. How do you see that? How worried are you, and what do you do to counter that?
Saya tidak khawatir dengan itu. Sekali lagi, ini hanya pilihan muncul, ada isu di dalam sebuah pilihan gubernur, sehingga kelihatannya seperti Indonesia semuanya seperti itu. Tidak, sekali lagi, Islam di Indonesia adalah Islam yang toleran. Islam di Indonesia adalah Islam yang moderat. Dan itulah yang terus akan kita dorong, agar keberagaman, agar kemajemukan yang ada di Indonesia, pluralisme yang ada di Indonesia itu betul-betul tetap berjalan, masyarakat bersatu, negara terus membangun dan memperbaiki diri, sehingga kita bisa terus makin baik dan makin baik.
You want to run again in 2019. How worried are you that these issues, because this is not only a national issue, it's like international. We've seen, of course, the election of Trump in the United States. We're seeing more right-wing policies in Europe, all waving on this populism sentiment about religion and identity. How worried are you that they're going to use these issues also against you?
Saya kira yang paling penting adalah memberikan pembelajaran kepada rakyat, mengedukasi kepada masyarakat betapa pentingnya dalam baik pilihan bupati, wali kota, pilihan gubernur, dan pilihan presiden itu yang dikemukakan adalah gagasan, yang dikemukakan adalah program. Artinya apa? Antar kandidat itu adu gagasan, adu program, bukan adu isu-isu yang jelek-jelek. Inilah yang memberikan pembelajaran yang baik pada masyarakat. Jadi saya kira nanti di dalam, setelah ini kan 2018 ada pilihan gubernur, bupati, dan wali kota 171. Kemudian berikutnya 2019 ada pilihan presiden. Saya kira masyarakat Indonesia harus dibawa kepada hal positif, yaitu di dalam pilihan bupati, wali kota, gubernur, dan presiden adalah adu gagasan, adu program, adu mencari solusi, adu mencari jalan keluar dari setiap masalah-masalah yang ada di daerah, yang ada di provinsi, yang ada di negara kita Indonesia ini.
One of the groups that have been rallying against Governor Ahok and also against you is the Islamic Defenders Front. Basically, I witnessed people making statements from this group that are very full of hatred against other religions. And there are people saying all these things and they're going unpunished. What are you planning to do with groups like this and with people making statements like this?
Saya kira semua serahkan kepada wilayah hukum. Hukumlah yang nanti akan menentukan apakah ada bukti, apakah ada fakta hukum yang bisa membawa hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan undang-undang, yang berkaitan dengan regulasi hukum itu dilanggar. Kalau ada bukti hukum, kalau ada fakta hukum, saya kira wilayah hukum, baik aparat kepolisian, kejaksaan, dan nanti pengadilan lah yang akan menentukan, bukan saya.
If someone says he wants to kill Christians or kill people from Ahmadiyya, for example, is that against the law?
Saya kira diserahkan kepada wilayah hukum. Serahkan kepada wilayah hukum.
There have been a few arrests in the last couple of weeks of people allegedly committing treason, trying to topple the presidency, the government. How serious are these attempts?
Ya, dalam sebuah dinamika politik itu biasa, dalam dinamika politik biasa. Tetapi saya tetap ingin konsentrasi bekerja dalam sisa waktu yang tinggal hanya 2 tahun ini. Saya ingin fokus bekerja saja.
You're now halfway through your term, 2.5 years exactly, right? When you became the president, you had a very ambitious agenda of bringing change to Indonesia, combating poverty, corruption, bringing economic reforms. If we're looking at the situation, the economic growth is not as high as you had wished, and also infrastructure projects have not been completed as you had wished. Do you feel that with all the political debate going on in Jakarta, you had to compromise?
Dunia sekarang memang ekonomi sedang melambat. Semua negara saya kira mengalami kesulitan yang sama, bagaimana mengelola ekonominya agar tetap bertahan dan bisa naik. Saya kira Indonesia growth untuk 2015 kita berada pada angka 4,9%. 2016 kita berada pada angka 5,02%. Artinya ada kenaikan. Dan memang kita sekarang ini sedang fokus kepada pembangunan percepatan infrastruktur. Itu kita ingin fokus ke sana. Yang kedua juga masalah yang berkaitan dengan reformasi birokrasi, deregulasi kebijakan terutama dengan paket-paket kebijakan ekonomi. Kita juga ingin terus ini kerjakan, menyederhanakan izin, mempercepat izin, memangkas birokrasi yang berbelit-belit. Itulah yang akan terus kita kerjakan, karena memang ini pekerjaan besar yang tidak boleh berhenti apapun isu.
Oh, this is always very much astonishing, his performance for Indonesian politics and economically his management, because he's not come from army, he's not come from establishment, but he must be supported by all those people, otherwise he cannot attain the current kind of government achievement. So but no corruptions, but still corruption, some corruption is remaining. But and last week I showed you something was corrupted, event just prevailing. But actually he's doing very well. This is unbelievable. I observe Indonesia's politics and economies.
Isu politik yang ada, kita tetap akan bekerja pada percepatan infrastruktur, kebijakan menyederhanakan regulasi-regulasi yang ada, sehingga kemudian berusaha itu terjadi, dan ini akan membuka lapangan pekerjaan, kesempatan kerja sebesar-besarnya untuk rakyat. Dan yang ketiga, hal yang basic yang berkaitan dengan kesehatan, dengan pendidikan, itu juga terus akan menjadi fokus kita.
You don't feel you have to compromise on your agenda too much?
Kita tetap akan fokus kepada agenda-agenda yang sudah ada.
There's building up tension in North Korea right now. You had a visit of Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. As a friend of North Korea, which is Indonesia is one of the few, what message did you give to the United States about solving the tensions in North Korea?
Kita ingin agar tensi di kawasan ini tetap stabil, tetap damai, tidak ada masalah. Sehingga Indonesia menginginkan agar penyelesaian Korea Utara ini diselesaikan dengan cara-cara dialog, bukan dengan kekuatan militer, karena ini akan mengganggu pertumbuhan ekonomi di kawasan ini. Dan Indonesia siap untuk
Okay, that's all he's talking about North Korea.
menengahi hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan
So you
Korea
can play a
Utara
role.
ini.
Indonesia can play a role.
Iya, saya sudah menyampaikan juga kepada Wakil Presiden Amerika bahwa Indonesia siap untuk menjadi penengah dalam masalah yang berkaitan dengan
That's all what he
What
mentioned.
was his response?
Ya, ini kita akan menyiapkan tim kalau memang nanti diperlukan.
Of course, a new president in the United States, Donald Trump. How has the relationship with the United States and Indonesia changed because of his presidency? Also because, of course, he has been riding this anti-Muslim agenda.
Saya kira akan baik-baik saja. Pada saat saya berdiskusi dengan Wakil Presiden Pence, berjalan dengan sangat baik dan kita ingin memperkuat, mengembangkan hubungan ekonomi kita. Tapi kuncinya ada bilateral, entah nanti dengan Free Trade Agreement, atau dengan SEPA, atau dengan Preferential Agreement. Saya kira itu pilihan-pilihan yang dalam sebulan ini kami akan menyiapkan tim untuk berdiskusi dengan tim dari Amerika sehingga menemukan sebuah jalan yang baik untuk memperkuat hubungan ekonomi, untuk memperkuat, mengembangkan hubungan ekonomi kita. Dan saya meyakini karena Presiden Donald Trump adalah dulunya seorang businessman, saya juga dulunya adalah seorang businessman, saya kira pemikirannya ini akan sambung.
But his anti-Islamic sentiments that has been conveyed before his presidency.
Yang disampaikan oleh Wakil Presiden Amerika menyampaikan bahwa beliau sangat mengapresiasi, menghargai Islam di Indonesia, Islam yang toleran, Islam yang moderat, dan bahkan pada saat dialog di Masjid Istiqlal, Wakil Presiden juga menyampaikan apresiasinya betapa hubungan antar agama di Indonesia itu sangat baik sekali. Dan itulah saya kira modal besar Indonesia untuk bisa memainkan perannya di dunia dan di kawasan ini.
How does this affect your relationship with China? China has become the third largest investor in Indonesia, and you've been meeting the president very often. So you seem to have like a warm relationship right now with China, but there's also tensions in the South China Sea. Don't you think Indonesia could play a more strong leadership role to solve these tensions?
Hubungan kita dengan semua negara baik, hubungan kita dengan Amerika sangat baik, hubungan kita dengan negara-negara di Middle East, di Timur Tengah juga sangat baik, hubungan kita dengan China juga sangat baik, hubungan kita dengan Jepang juga sangat baik. Saya kira Indonesia ingin berhubungan baik dengan negara manapun, dalam artian hubungan itu hubungan yang saling menguntungkan. Dan dengan Tiongkok pun kita sama, hubungan kita sangat baik. Oleh sebab itu kita ingin agar penyelesaian Laut Cina Selatan ini juga diselesaikan dengan cara-cara dialog. Jangan memanaskan tensi di kawasan ini, karena ini akan mempengaruhi pertumbuhan ekonomi di kawasan. Dan kita harapkan kesepakatan COC, Code of Conduct, dan nanti implementasinya itu bisa dilaksanakan. Tetapi sebelum masuk kepada COC, saya kira dalam proses transisi ini perlunya sebuah building block untuk mengerjakan hal-hal yang secepatnya bisa dikerjakan. Misalnya pembangunan infrastruktur maritim, penanganan illegal fishing, kemudian riset mengenai sumber daya alam laut. Sehingga ini hal-hal yang lebih konkret yang bisa kita kerjakan. Jangan kita terangka, terframing oleh masalah-masalah besar yang penyelesaiannya memakan waktu.
But you were talking about joint patrols in the South China Sea. Is that something you're seriously considering?
Ya, saya kira kenapa tidak patroli bersama, mungkin dengan China, dengan Australia, dengan negara-negara ASEAN, saya kira, dan negara lain, saya kira kenapa tidak, dalam rangka apa? Dalam rangka kebersamaan kita di kawasan ini. Sekali lagi jangan sampai kawasan ini menjadi ajang persaingan dengan sebuah kekuatan militer sehingga pertumbuhan ekonomi menjadi terganggu. Ini yang kita tidak mau.
Okay, the last question, just quickly, because
but actually, China making lots of military base in island South China Sea. So Vietnam is worrying, and also Asian countries worrying. And in this case, usually the government, not the government, president never tells that the threat of China. And but the Indonesian government, behind the scenes, seriously consider for China's attitude toward South China Sea, but he never tells that. Okay?
Last time when I spoke to you, we were talking about the executions, right? 17 people now have been executed since you become the president for drugs trafficking. Are you going to continue this?
Saya ingin kepada seluruh aparat memang tegas dengan penegakan hukum di Indonesia, dan saya serahkan pada apabila memang rakyat tidak mau dengan hukuman mati, ya tentu saja nanti akan dibicarakan di DPR. Tetapi kalau hukum positif itu masih ada, ya itulah yang akan kita laksanakan, karena saya bekerja mengikuti konstitusi yang ada, undang-undang yang ada, dan mengikuti regulasi yang ada.
Before we left the palace, the president insisted on showing us around the property in his golf cart. It's a sort of royal treatment he enjoys giving to visiting heads of state and other leaders. Fasten your seatbelts. So where are we going?
Kita putar-putar aja.
Okay.
Putar-putar melihat apa, rusa, melihat apa ada swan, ada deer juga.
So you've been taking the Saudi king and other heads of states in this car?
Ya, saya yang setir dan saya ajak keliling di dalam juga.
So why do you like to do this?
Ya supaya bisa akrab, bisa berbicara dari hati ke hati, sehingga hubungan itu bukan hanya hubungan yang formal, tetapi hubungan pribadi yang lebih baik antara saya dengan raja.
In fact, when the Saudi king visited recently, the president employed all his social media skills to bring the action closer to the people.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Saat ini saya sedang bersantap dengan Yang Mulia Sri Baginda Raja Salman bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud. Beliau baru makan. Beliau mungkin ingin menyampaikan sedikit kepada kita semuanya.
أنا مسرور جدا أن أكون في إندونيسيا مع فخامة الرئيس في وسط الشعب الإندونيسي، وإندونيسيا الشعب الإندونيسي أعزاء عندنا وإخوان.
Terima kasih Yang Mulia, terima kasih. Semoga kunjungan ini dapat meningkatkan hubungan baik kita antara Kerajaan Saudi Arabia dengan negara kita Indonesia, hubungan yang saling menguntungkan.
But you will be disappointed, right? You took the Saudi king around and you spent a lot of time with him, but the investment was not what you hoped.
Ya, problemnya kita memang harus koreksi ya. Kita harus introspeksi. Indonesia mungkin belum menarik sekali, mungkin hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan ease of doing business, hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan kepastian hukum, inilah yang harus kita perbaiki. Harus internal di pemerintah kita harus memperbaiki itu.
We finish our talk with the president, looking ahead to the next elections, but not without first having a near accident on the empty road.
Sorry.
Near accident.
But all in good fun.
How optimistic are you that you will be re-elected in 2019?
Sampai saat ini masih optimistik bahwa hal-hal yang berkaitan dengan perizinan, dengan penyederhanaan regulasi itu akan memperbaiki dan saya yakin akan berubah.
2019, is it going to happen?
Saya kira saya sekarang fokus pada pekerjaan, fokus pada penyelesaian program yang ada.
Thank you very much.
Mau ke
Okay, finish. How's that? Any question? This is the end of Indonesia.
Yeah, Indonesia, I think obviously they are facing many issues, many things as agendas to be discussed. But as Jokowi was saying in interview day, he insists on staying on his work in the parliament as president, not to step in too much in the judicial issues that Ahok was accused of saying something wrong on Islamic belief. So this is I think this is some signs of his intention of promoting more democracy, where the politics and religion is to be divided. And yeah, that's, I think, clear to me.
Okay, and I just explained that he's I just in the middle of this video, he's just doing very well. But additionally, I'm going to explain a little bit more. But he is moving very heavy behind the scene. Okay, in the case of Ahok, he is very much influenced to judicial affairs at the back door. Okay. That's the reason why superficially looks smooth going. He's very politically smart to handle the established people, army people. Otherwise, he cannot manage a kind of fancy way of this kind of large country. This is my observation, right? So he just only submit this kind of Ahok cases in judiciary court. No. He's just involved in a lot behind the scene, I believe. On China case is like a fishing board, or like just last issues. She made a question for why so many people just death sentences for the narcotic, criminals, and he just a lot of negotiation and discussion with Australian government, any other government he already have done. And behind the scene, I believe this is, I think, what the way he is doing. I think otherwise, just with China is the same. Otherwise, he just doing smoothly. Looks like smoothly. Is a lot of issue surrounding this country. How do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. So otherwise, the things it's easy for things to be extreme situation. So yeah, I think so that he's doing well in some area behind the scene.
Okay. Yes.
So they have in the middle of the relation between U.S. and China, and also they have some relationship with Middle East, and they're just in the middle of balancing democracy and the religion as Muslim country. So still this is study just in the halfway, or it's not that everything is not complete. It's difficult to see everything happen in one time. But yeah, his position and Indonesia's position in international society is to be focused.
Okay. I think not only he himself, but also he has several very good skilled, officers in his cabinet, I believe, like outside country or domestically, or whatever. He has very good people. Otherwise, he himself cannot handle everything, right? But this is very, well organized, this country. Okay? So, I'll finish Indonesia today. So next week is I'm getting to Taiwan, okay? So, so this morning, I'll finish this morning session. Afternoon, I'm going to start Africa, okay?